Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the nice introduction. I couldn't understand everything that was on the, but I think that the pictures they pretty much told a larger part of the story, and I did understand that. Very happy to be here. Very honored to be here. Imark, a longtime partner of Qlik. For me, it's the first time here in Prague, so I was, the first time was private, but for Qlik here, being here, and I must say, I love Prague. I was walking this morning on the Old Town Square, and it was very early, so there weren't a lot of tourists there yet, so I had the whole square to myself, so I just like taking a deep breath and walking around. So again, thank you for having me, feeling honored. Also, this morning I was reading the newspaper. It's in Dutch, so now you can't read it and I can. But it's actually a pretty nice article, and it's called "Hey Home, I Am Home. Did you miss me?" And while I was reading it, it's all about domotics and home automation and how everything around us is being merged with sensors and analytical applications and just things that you can talk to. And while I was reading it, I was thinking, this is actually what today is about as well. It's all about that we are now entering a new era where digital is truly all around us. I think I saw like a car and like the drone and the, I'm guessing the story was about their sensors everywhere and technology and disruptive, and it's disrupting industries. And that's really where we are right now. And so while I was reading that, I was thinking, this is actually what I'm going to be talking about today, because with all those sensors, with all that data that is available everywhere, how do you get better insights with less effort? Because that's eventually what we want to do. And even better, knowing that this is heading towards us, how do we make ourselves on the winning side? How do we get to be on the winning side of this new analytics economy? So that's my introduction. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And is it still working? Yes. So going into my story, we are now in the era of an analytics economy, and it's really driving digital transformation. Now, in order to understand what this analytical economy is and how it is driving that digital information transformation, Qlik has identified 3 areas which is leading towards this digital transformation. And we think it's first data and analytics, and then insights. Data, because it's capturing all this value. You should see it as the raw value. And analytics, because you need to have tools that transform that data, that raw value that is contained within the data, and transform it into insights. And you need analytics and tools to do that. And eventually, those insights, they drive actions that transform the business. So this is where we think we are right now, and how this analytical economy is driving digital transformation. Now, digital transformation and the analytical economy is driving that, but what does that actually mean? What does that mean for business? How can we use that untapped potential, that value that resides within the data, and that we eventually get to actionable results and insights? We think there are 4 areas that drive that value within the transformation. The first one is reimagined processes. This is basically that you, with all that data that is available right now, and all the analytics and the toolings that are available to us right now, we use that to completely rethink the processes that we have in our organization. And the second one is customer intelligence. We are using all that data to get a better understanding of our customer, get a better 360-degree view of our customer, to create better loyalty programs, eventually making more margin on those customers, because we truly understand what their desire is. Of course, new business opportunities. This is I mean, this is talked about a lot. New data brings new opportunities, more value, more things to dive into, and it's actually harder than you think. But it is one of the value drivers within this transformation that we're seeing. And finally, we have a balanced risk reward. This is basically saying that with all this data that we're having, you are able to make more balanced decisions and more taking a decision where you can analyze the risk or better analyze the risk and the reward that it eventually will bring you. So, if we go one back. So the transformation that is driving the value, and we have these 4 areas where we think that is where, as a company, you can truly tap into that value. Still, at the center of it all, there are people. And there are people that making decisions, and, sorry, going back one more time. Nope, I missed that slide. And it's still the people in the center that are making those decisions. And those people, they demand more from analytics because we have that capability right now. And it's not just that they want one tool. It's the complete picture that where they have more demands for. So we want more cloudy environments, not just one cloud, not just a on-premise data source or one external cloud. No, multiple clouds, and it's not. And we're also demanding more enterprise because analytics is now truly getting part of our core processes within our organization. More mobile. We don't just want to be sitting behind our desktop and doing all of our analytics behind the desktop. No, we want to continue our work wherever we are. If we are on our way to our work and we're sitting in a train or a bus, we just want to have our iPad or whatever mobile device and then open up and then do some analytics. And then we get into our office, we sit behind our desk, and we want to continuously or seamlessly continue our analysis. And then we have completed our analysis, and then we want to stand up and go into the meeting room. And then with all these people that we're talking with, our team, for example, we want to show them our results. And this needs to be a seamless experience. Also more integrated. We do not want to use one application to do our analytics and then use those results and put it somewhere else. No, we want to have one integrated experience. And of course, more data, the far right, because there is more data and there is a data explosion. And go to any seminar that's about technology and people will say, there's more data, data explosion. But it's true. So we want to capture all that data and being enabled to capture all that data. So the people are at the center of decision making, and they are more demanding, but still we can't ignore that there is a gap. And when you look at the current BI solutions that we're having, there are just limitations, actually it's saying there, the limitations of BI are leaving value out. And why or how are they doing, out of reach? How are they doing that? Because when you look at traditional BI stacks, usually it takes months or let's say a long time to implement. The complexity requires costly IT resources. Analytics is driven within the traditional BI stack, mostly through static reports and, let's say, old-fashioned analytics. And it's difficult to adapt to changing business requirements. For instance, if you have a dashboard with information and you want to have that change because it's not completely reflecting the analysis that you want to perform, then you need to send that back to your developer, and then they need to recreate or redevelop whatever dashboard you were working on, and then you have to wait for a while, then it's being in production, and then you can start using it. It's what we call the ask, wait, answer cycle. On the far end, you have query-based visualization tools. And those are, a very big step forwards, but it's still complex data preparation. You are limited to a subset of your data. Linear exploration, because when you are query-based when your tool is query-based, you predefine your query. So upfront, you think about the information that you want to be analyzing, but then that's the only information that you will be analyzing, and you lose the complete context of all your data. And because you are thinking upfront of the answers that you might need, you're kind of disconnected from action because you already know what the answer will be because that's what you are working towards. But all the questions and the unanswered questions that are, let's say, the next step after finding your answer, those are left out. So there's a lot of value there that's out of reach. Lack of governance and controls, also one. So there's a gap, and of course I wouldn't be standing here if I wouldn't say that we as Qlik think that we can close that gap. Not only do we think we can close that gap, our goal is actually to close that gap and go beyond. And in order to do that, we are investing in 3 focus areas: data, technology, and people. That's how we think we are going to close that gap. And overarching this all is our key unique differentiator, which is the associative difference. This is a patented piece of technology, which basically means that, well, let's compare it. Query-based tool versus Qlik's associative engine. With query-based, as you can see with the figure, you predefine your query, so you are forced to walk down a certain path of your data, and each time you make a new filtering or a new selection, you filter out all the other data. And with this, you have a slow performance because every time you make a new selection, your data source is queried, and then you get the results back. And again, what I said earlier, you're going to that ask, wait, answer cycle. Now, with the associative engine that we have in our Qlik platform, what we offer is a way to explore all of your data. So whatever you are analyzing, the data that is in your application you always have the full context of your data. I think today in demos we're going to be talking a bit more about this associative engine, and if we're not going to be talking about it, you're definitely going to be experiencing it, because this is, however you use Qlik, this is always what you get, that associative experience. Hey, I'm seeing a value, I'm clicking on it, and immediately I see everything that's connected to that value, and then I want to change my selection, I want to invert it, so it's very intuitive for me to do that, and when I do that, I see all the graphs changing, and that's the associative engine. Now, going back to those 3 focus points, data, technology, and people, and the overarching key differentiator, the associative difference. So going back to our first focus point, we say that you need to leverage, if you want to be future-proof, you need to leverage all your data, because data is the foundation of a new economy. And that's actually interesting, because we are explicitly saying all of your data, because when you look at where we are right now and take, for example, big data solutions, I think it's pretty safe to say that most of the investments that have been made into big data have not really reaped the benefits that they were expecting to get. And this is because we're seeing more and more a trend where big data is one thing, but the true value of data is becoming more apparent when we start combining very specific data sources together so that it creates a very specific type of value. So no longer are we just gathering all the data that we have and making our storage or our data centers bigger, bigger, bigger. Of course, there are vendors that have like huge data, or companies that have huge data centers. But it's going to be much more about combining specific types of data sources and making sure that you get that true value from that. So this is somewhere where this is where we are heading to, and this is what we try to enable our customers with. Now, a few examples of how Qlik can enable you to capture all your data. Well, we have self-service preparation, where you visually create your own data models and do data preparation in order to create a dashboard, for example. But we also have big data solutions, where an example here is our on-demand app generation, where you have a big data source, and on an aggregate level you can go through this source and analyze through your source. And when you see an interesting part of that big data subset, you say, hey, I want to zoom into this, and then on the fly it will generate an application zooming into that huge chunk of big data. Governed and data libraries, where we predefine measures, dimensions, visualizations, just to make sure that you are able to capture all that data. And enterprise and web connectivity. I mean, there are hundreds of data sources that we connect to. So summarizing that, we want to enable you to leverage all your data. And by all data, we mean all data. We think that it's going to be very important to be able to combine all that different data sources. So it's not about just plugging into one very big data source, but it's about making smart connections to many different data sources. And when doing that, we want to help our end user by helping him by making it governed data, so secure, reusable libraries, and things like that. So the second focus point is about technology, and more specifically, building an enterprise class platform on that technology. Because when you have data, remember in the beginning I said the analytics economy, you have data, analytics, and insights. Well, an enterprise class platform technology enables you to transform data into insights. And the advantage of a platform is that you are able to not just deliver specific toolings, but you are able to embed that whole analytics mindset into your decision-making process. And that eventually leads to turning insights into actionable insights. So it's not just about your organization and making sure that your people within your organization can do better analytics right there in the center. But when we look forward, it's also much more about extending our analytics solutions to our partners and suppliers, but also expanding our analytics capabilities to our customers. So when we are thinking like a platform, it's not just offering one tool, it's about the whole ecosystem that we're trying to move and push forward. Some examples of how a platform is enabling all your visual analytics needs, or how our platform is enabling all your visual analytic needs, sorry, I'm having trouble with the word analytics, with your visual analytical needs, is that no matter what type of business case you have in mind, our platform should be able to surface that. So whether it's self-service, where you make your own dashboard, whether it's guided, which is a set dashboard and you just want to look at it to find some information, or custom embedded use case where you integrate our analytics solution into whatever environment you desire, or just fixed reporting because that's what you want to have, and mobile solutions. You name the use case, and then with the platform we can deliver it. And some specific examples of how we deliver that is, for instance, our Qlik management console. It's where you can govern the user, security, almost anything that you would like, but also certified extensions. As a platform, Qlik is not fixed to only the visualizations that we deliver within our software. No, we are able to extend our software with visualizations and programs that you write yourself. advanced analytics integration, we combine analytical capabilities by using R and Python and other advanced analytics applications, and also web integration. So, summarizing, we want to leverage the whole platform, and by doing that, we want to make sure that all your use cases can be answered by our platform. We want a modern governance. This is, for example, done by the management console. So in the back, you can easily add users, put in security, and the platform needs to be open and extensible. You need to be able to extend, embed, and expand your functionality of the platform. But finally, the third focus point is people, because the people are eventually the ones that make the decision, and they are at the heart of the organization. And if you really want to get analytics to a higher level within your organization, you need to invest in few areas that we think. One of them is promoting data literacy. This is the ability to read data, to write data, to work with data and visualizations, and to finally argue with visualization. Are you able to look at a bar chart, truly understand what you are looking at, and then give counter questions to the one who created the bar chart? Which is actually really relevant because, how do you say that? Relevant right now. 2 weeks ago, I had a session on data literacy, and the whole thing with fake news and all this data that was captured in Facebook and how they are working with that. It all comes down to data literacy. Do people actually understand what kind of data was given away and how that was used to influence, for instance, a voter election in the US? But in order to empower all your people, you should also let them freely explore without boundaries. So looking at the more traditional side of query-based tools where you filter out data, we say no. You need to freely explore without boundaries. And when you are exploring, why not have your analytics augmented by true intelligence, a tool that sees that you are looking at sales data and then giving you advice, saying, hey, maybe you want to show this chart and then put a gross profit on top of it, and let's make it a bubble chart because you're using this dimension. You want to be augmented in your analysis. And finally, when you come to a conclusion, you want to be able to share that, and also you want to be able to easily collaborate with others. I already mentioned a few of these, but some specific examples are chart recommendations, our Insight Advisor, which will be demoed in a few seconds, mobile analytics, and smart visualizations. So the remaining 10 to 15 minutes, I will be showing you what Qlik Sense is actually about. I'm not sure how many people here know Qlik Sense already. There are a few. Okay, so not everybody, but still a large part. What I'm going to show, so for those that know Qlik Sense already, some of it you will recognize, but there are also some nice features that will be in our next release in June. So just stick with it. Even though you might see a lot of things you already know, there are some surprises. Now, let's hope the internet is still working. So I just need a few seconds to get this up and running, because I need to reinstall my connection. And I think it is working. Yes, great. Okay. Okay, great. So what we are looking at right now is a Qlik application, a dashboard, and this is of the company Apex Global Operations, which is basically a food distribution company that is selling and distributing food all over the world. Important to this company is the global margin on the left, revenue, of course, and because we're talking food, lead time is important as well. So how long does it take for our products to get somewhere? And when we are talking about the average lead time, and we see that a few products are in the critical here in the middle. When we're talking about products that are perishable, so perishable goods, goods that are no longer good after a certain amount of time, for instance, milk, we can filter on high perishable goods to make this visualization or this dashboard a little bit more, to have it make more sense. Now, I know there's a filter somewhere with high perishable items, medium perishable items, low perishable items, but let's say, like I know where it is, but let's just say I don't know where this dimension is. So we have our search functionality here in the top left, and all I need to do actually is just enter, well, not this. So what I do need to do is go to my search bar, there we are, and see my keyboard. This is what I was afraid of. My keyboard is giving very strange behavior. There we are. Sorry for that. So, going back to my story. We have a search bar, and we just type in hi. Hi as in hi, not hi. And we see automatically everything within our application, within our data model that has a keyword hi. And on the very top, I see perishable level. So I just click that, and automatically everything that is shown right now in our application, all the visualizations, are filtered on perishable level that is high. So here I see the four product or category groups, yeah, that have a high perishable lead time. So let's say I find this interesting and I want to continue my analysis on the inventory because that's my next step. On the top right, I have a button and I see all the different sheets that are available for me in this dashboard or application. And here I can just click on the second sheet, for instance, inventory, and then I'm being brought to another sheet with different visualizations. Now the good thing is that with our associative experience, one of the things is that everything is automatically connected. So when I use my search on the first sheet to filter on high perishable goods, with that selection made, I jump to another sheet, but automatically all the visualizations are already filtered on that selection that I've made. So right now, you see the four categories that were available for me on the first page are available here as well. And let's say I look at this and say, okay, well, that's interesting, but actually I don't want to continue that I want to remove all the filtering that I just made. Well, I can just easily remove my filtering. Remove my filtering, and now I'm seeing the same visualizations, but then with all the data. And if I would be interested in the four, or, well, let's make it 10, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 product groups, I can just click on those 10. And again, everything, all the data, all the visualizations are filtered now on the selections that I've made. If I were to be going back to my executive dashboard, the first sheet, then you will see that all the information there is filtered based on these 10 product groups that I've been selecting. Now, before we go any further, just like to zoom in on this visualization. This is I keep forgetting a distributed bubble chart. And the nice thing about this is that it shows you information on an aggregated level. So that is product group. So I've selected 10 product groups, and now it's showing me the average inventory. Maybe it's better if I show it. The average inventory per product group. But it's not just showing me, for instance, one data point. No, it's showing me the whole distribution within that product category. And by showing that to me, I also see that there are quite a few outliers in my data model. And maybe that's distorting my view, my analysis. So what I can easily do is use this lasso tool, for example, and just filter out all the data points that I don't want to include in my analysis, just like that. Let's cut it over there and do it like this. I think I don't want that one. So this looks okay, so I just click OK right now. And now the chart is updated based on the additional filtering that I've just created with my lasso tool. And what you see, if I just go back one selection, there's a back and forth button up there, so you can sort of keep track on all the filtering that you've made. So this was before cutting out the outliers. And you see that, for instance, let me see. Health and beauty is now on the third inventory per product group, where it was in the previous selection it was down below, and that's because we're leaving out the outliers in our data. So now I've showed you just how to walk through your application, how to do some analytics. But what if I want to create my own dashboard based on the charts that I've just used? Because I like this chart, but I also like the chart that I saw on the first sheet, and I actually want to combine that in one view. Well, that's very easy because I can just create a new sheet. And, we will keep the name my new sheet. And if I go to the edit, now I'm in my editing mode, and I just created a new sheet. I see an empty canvas, and on the left here I have a few options to populate this sheet. Now, one of the important or the nice things to show here is the master items. This is the governed library that I was talking about earlier in the presentation, where the developer can prefabricate visualizations for you, so that when you as a user are making your own dashboard, you can just pick and choose the visualizations that you want and then throw it together on one canvas. So, for example, we have a KPI, average lead time, and I just want to put it there in the corner. Well, this is way too big for me, so I could just make it a little bit smaller like that. What did we see as well? The average lead times, that was on the first page. Let's make it, well, we can do it like that. And as you see, I can just drag and drop existing visualizations to create a new sheet that is more specific to my use case. Inventory per product group is what we were seeing, and cost of inventory per product group. So here you can see how easy it is for me to just create a new sheet. And when I press done, here we are. And as you can see, the filtering that and the selections that we made earlier are still available, and they're also reflected in these new visualizations that I made. Now, you can also see that everything is still connected. When I remove my visualizations, everything is connected, and it's reflecting the new selection or no selection that I have currently. Let's say I want to share this sheet with my colleagues. That is also pretty easy for me because I can just open up my sheet overview, and here at the bottom you see my sheets, and if I right-click on that, I get a few options, and one of them is Publish. Now, before I do that, let's just quickly show you what we are looking at, because on the top you see base sheets. These are the basic sheets that were developed by the developer when providing this application to everybody that has access to this application, so our organization. Now, the community sheets, the second part, the second row, those are all the sheets that are made by users like you, like me, who were using the base sheets to get some information, say, okay, I like what you're showing me, but I just want to give it a different touch. And then you can create your own sheet, just like I did right now, and then you can publish it to the community. So that's what we are going to do as well. So publish the sheet, and it's saying, you're about to publish your new sheet. Are you sure? Yes, we are. And when I look at the sheets right now, you see that there's a new row created, published by me. And when others log in, they will see this sheet added to the community. So that way you can very easily share information with each other and get to better insights. Now, if I want to remove it, I just unpublish it, and there we are. Now it's back to my personal sheets, and eventually I will just delete it. And this is another example of nice visualizations and charts that were part of the base sheets that were delivered by the developers. Okay, so this is an existing application. So what about creating your own application? What about, let's say I'm a salesperson, I have data. Data can be any source, but in my case, I just have prepared 2 Excel files, and I just want to do some fancy analytics with it. So let's do that. I'm going to the hub, which is your central starting point with Qlik Sense, and I want to create a new app. And let's call it Super App. So I open up the app, and as you can see, it's completely empty. It's actually giving me advice. It says, to get started, you should provide some data, which is logical. As I said, I have an example prepared, and here is the Excel file, and it's called sales data. All I need to do is drag and drop it on the application, and what is happening right now is that it's loading the data into the application. It's analyzing what type of data I provided to Qlik, and then it's for me generating insights, it's generating connections, it's generating a data model. And what you see in the background is that while I only provided one file, it has analyzed for me what Qlik thinks would be very interesting for me to see. And I think it's pretty right, actually, because on my sales data, well, of course I want to see my country ordered by the cost of sales. Actually, this is a very nice visualization. So this is a suggestion by Qlik. This is linking to the augmented intelligence, what I was talking about in the presentation. And if I want to start using this sheet in my own created dashboard, all I need to do is click Add Sheet. Now, as you can see, when we scroll down, there are other visualizations, and we can keep on scrolling down, and it gives different variations of different types of charts. But what if I would be very specifically looking for a certain type of visualization with specific dimensions? What I can do is actually just enter a few keywords, so gross profit per country, and I just press enter. And what we see right now is that based on the keywords that we delivered, Qlik is now offering us new visualizations. And of course, country ordered or a country by gross profit, that one is pretty easy. I mean, I would expect Qlik to deliver that. A nice mapping, you know, that's nice as well. But what we see here is kind of like a more advanced chart, like a 80-20% analysis. So these blue countries represent 80% of the gross profit versus the remaining 20%, which is of other countries delivering the gross profit. So I think that's an interesting visualization as well. And by now I'm done using the suggestions from Qlik. So I exit the menu, and voila. Here is just my new sheet, my new application with data. I drag and drop the data in there. I use the suggestions of Qlik, and now I have an application which I can start doing analysis with. But I have more data. What to do? How do I add more data to this existing application? Well, that's very easy as well. Very conveniently, I've created a file called more data. What I can do here, and now it's getting a little bit more complex, I would say, but still visual data modeling. But it's really nice because I just drag and drop the file on top of the existing application, and and that Excel file has a lot of different sheets, so it's recognizing those sheets as different tables from a data source. So it's saying, okay, you've got all these different types of tables. How should we combine this? So it's asking us to provide input. Now I can do this manually, for example, by selecting products, and by clicking on it, you already see that it's giving me suggestions on what the best type of association would be. For instance, categories, and I can just drop it on top, and now you see that those two tables are linked. And how are they linked? If I press the dot in the middle, you see that below our table products has a column called category ID, and our table categories has a column called cat ID. And then it's calculating in the background that these two columns are very similar and might be our linking table between these two data sources. So I'm actually very happy with this, but I don't want to do everything manual. Qlik has the option to sort of provide the whole data model for me. So I just do preview, and now it's connecting everything in the way Qlik thinks it should be connected, which is actually really, really good. And if I want to keep that, I just press Apply All, and then we have our complete data model. One thing I just wanted to show you is if we want to add things to our data model, we can also go into a table, for instance, products, and then look at the data that's residing in that table. What we see right here, or actually, let's take sales data. That's a better example. So what we are now looking at is a preview of our sales data table. And here we see all the records that are in that table. And here we get a little histogram of all the values that are available within this sales data. And let's say I want to change some data in this table. For instance, the discount. Because I know that in the discount, because it's made available from many different data sources all over the world, many different warehouses, I know that when they are using a discount or not using a discount, some people do a minus sign or a dash, and others just say 0. Well, let's say I want to replace it because I want everything to be a 0, because then it's easier to calculate. I can just easily replace values in this column by searching for a specific type of value, so the minus sign or the dash, and then I want to replace that by zeros. And I just press replace, and what is happening now, that is searching for all the minus signs and then replacing that with a 0. If I go back to replace, I'm going really fast through all this, but it's just to show you some of the nice features that we have in the visual data modeling. Replacement values, so we have one replacement values, which was the minus sign, replacing it to a 0, and then it was replaced 783 times, so it's also giving me information about how many times actually a value was replaced or changed. If I want to add a new field, That's very easy to do. I can add a calculated field based on the information that is already in this table. For instance, discount percentage. And here I can type a formula before when I want to calculate the discount percentage. I need discount. It's already auto-completing, divided by sales, auto-completing. And let's just create that value. And you will see in this table at the very end that I have now, it's italic. This is a calculated field. Now, showing percentages is nice, but it would be more easy if I could label it like no discount or a small discount or a large discount. And that's actually very easy to do because here I have a functionality called buckets. And let's say I want 4 buckets. And then I press on the first bucket, I give it a name, none. And let's say 0.001 is, I consider that being not a discount. And then the next one, I give it a name, small, go next, medium, and for the final one should be large. And it's suggesting also the size of the buckets, which I'm happy with. And now I've created a other field in our model. And here you see 0.16, which is 16% discount, and I consider that large. But 0.04 as a discount, which is 4%, I consider that a small discount. Now, in my visualizations that I'm going to create, I can use those buckets that I just visually created here within a couple of minutes. I'm happy with everything, so I'm going to load the data. And again, now it's loading all those tables, all those 2 sources. It's connecting them. It's creating a data model for me, and it has already completed. And we want to edit a sheet. Edit the sheet. And now we are adding the existing sheet that we created earlier. And I think one of the 2 things that I have left to show you is that if I just click on the fields, here we see all the fields that have been loaded into our data model. If I search, for example, on discount, here you also see the discount bucketed, the added calculated field that we just created. But let's say I would be filtering on sales. If I just drag and drop sales on my canvas, what is happening right now is that in the background, Qlik is looking at the data that I'm placing on my canvas and saying, hey, this is just one dimension. Maybe it's probably best to show this as a KPI. And, but if I want to expand it, for instance, with other information, we can add to it, for instance, a customer. So when I drag and drop customer on top of it, it's now changing to a bar chart because now we have two dimensions, and it's probably better to represent that as a bar chart. If I keep on adding data to this visualization, see now it's a bubble chart. If I add gross profit, it's also the bubble chart, but it's the size of the bubble is now representing the gross profit. And here on the right, you see that size is gross profit, the y-axis is the quantity, and I can still keep adding data to it. For instance, freight cost. And when I drag and drop it, it now is coloring based on the freight cost. So you see that there's intelligence behind the canvas to help me create my visualizations. Now, this is called, what is happening here is the assistance, but we are also able to turn off that assistance so we can get full control of the visualization. And here we are in a menu for the people that know Qlik Sense. You're back at just customizing your visualization, and we can easily switch back to the assistance or to the assistance or back to complete control of our visualization. And this works for all the visualizations that we have in Qlik. Okay, so that's it for the demo part, showing you briefly how our applications work, and more specifically the Insights board, which is generating visualizations for you, which will be available for you in the next release. And I think that can conclude my presentation.
Very well. Thank you very much, Daniel. I still have 2 questions here on the Slido, so I would use that opportunity to ask you, if you don't mind. So first question is there any immediate plan to introduce QlikSense mobile app?
Is there any, sorry?
Is there any immediate plan to introduce QlikSense mobile app?
So the iPhone app is available. We are working on Android native mobile app as well, which will not be released in June, but we are working on it. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, for those who asked.
Okay, so you're filtering the questions.
I'm just going from the Slido.
So,
and the second question is, what do you think about shared platform of QlikSense for different customers? Is it possible to find optimum between a secured platform and flexibility?
Okay, so what do I think about a shared platform? Whoever asked the question, do you mean
would you like to specify those?
Different types of...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you mean different customers or surfacing different customers on your platform, but still it's different customers on one platform? Okay, so yes, I think that's very good. That's possible, and there's actually a very good example on a website that we've created, or I created with a colleague of mine. It's called integration.qlik.com, and if you go there, it's all about embedding Qlik into different environments. But there's also a OEM case where you are. How do you say that in short? There's a so a customer logs in, and when he logs in, on the fly, a specific data source is being loaded, and then on the fly, Qlik applications, or actually a whole environment specifically for him, is created, and then also securely or is secured, so that it doesn't interfere with other customers. So short answer is yes. An example for this is on integration.qlik.com, and there you can see code examples, business or use case examples, and the larger part of the story around it.